He's got it at 6, could it be? He's dropped it. He's going to go back for the third. Come on, run.
You really find out when you are in love when you have a heartbreak.
Yeah.
तो वो प्यार की पहली निशानी वही थी मेरे लिए कि ये इतना बुरा क्यों लग रहा है। मैं अभी 12 साल का हूँ, मैंने अभी पहली बार जिंदगी में क्रिकेट देखना शुरू किया है और मेरी टीम 1 रन से हार गई है, सिर्फ 1 रन से, और बहुत बुरा लग रहा है। That's my first strong cricket memory, which started with a heartbreak.
I've got with me a guest whose work we are very familiar with. He's very filmy, and his tryst with cricket has been no less filmy either. So the story goes that a young Varun Grover, who was often teased for his weight by his young classmates, came out to open the batting once, and with all the rage that he had filled in him, he hit the most fearsome of the bowlers on that day for a huge 6 that broke the window of the lab.
विनय था उस बॉलर का नाम, बहुत खतरनाक बॉलर, बहुत लंबा उसका रनअप भी था और काफी खतरनाक एक्शन था, बहुत क्लीन, बहुत नीट एक्शन था, जो एक परफेक्ट एक्शन जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि जैसा मैं मानूंगा कि ब्रेटली का है, इतना एकदम बहुत ही स्ट्रेट लाइन वाला एक्शन। तो वो एक्शन से वो बॉल करने आता था और somehow I connected। पहली बार मुझे फर्स्ट ओवर में ऐसे ही टाइम पास मैच था, तो उन्होंने कहा ठीक है यार, तू बहुत दिनों से फील्डिंग कर रहा है, अंपायरिंग कर रहा है, जा खेल ले। एंड फर्स्ट ओवर में आई वाज ऑन द स्ट्राइक एंड आई जस्ट आगे बढ़ा, मैं 1 कदम मैंने आगे निकाला और मिड मतलब एकदम स्वीट स्पॉट पे लगी बॉल और सीधा उसके स्ट्रेट बॉलर के सिर के ऊपर से, और न लॉन्ग ऑन न लॉन्ग ऑफ, एकदम सेंटर, मतलब हम कहेंगे कि जो अपना स्क्रीन के ठीक पीछे जाके छक्का, और हमने लैब तोड़ दिया, जो मेरे लिए वो बड़ी अच्छी निशानी थी कि सरकारी स्कूल था, वहां इतनी जल्दी कांच जो टूटे वो बनता नहीं था। सो उसके बाद जब तक मैं स्कूल में रहा 2 साल और दैट निशानी वाज देयर। सबसे पहली क्रिकेट मेमोरी है 1987 वर्ल्ड कप। I was 7 years old. We didn't even have a TV at home, and still we knew कि इंडिया का इस बार बहुत तगड़ा चांस है, because 83 में हम लोग वर्ल्ड कप जीते थे और इस बार अपने देश में हो रहा था वर्ल्ड कप, and I think we reached the semi-final and we lost the semi-final to England, right? हाँ, तो वो जब तक सेमीफाइनल जब हारे हम लोग उस दिन, I figured because there were some people मोहल्ले में जो भैया लोग होते हैं और वो लोग बात कर रहे थे, and they were quite angry or quite frustrated with that result। तो वहाँ बात हो रही थी, तो that was the first time I remember कि क्रिकेट मेरी जिंदगी में आया और मैंने सुना कि क्रिकेट नाम की कोई चीज होती है और उसमें लोग इतना इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं हमारे देश के। एंड आई ऑलवेज वांटेड टू बी लाइक माय फर्स्ट, जो मेरे ख्याल हिंदुस्तान में हर बच्चे का होता है कि क्रिकेटर बनना है, तो मेरा भी वही था कि हाँ क्रिकेटर बनना है, और मुझे बहुत मजा आने लगा खेलते हुए खुद से। बट स्कूल गए और अचानक से अराउंड दैट टाइम ओनली व्हेन आई टर्न 10 और 11 और हम देहरादून से लखनऊ आए in 1991 when I was 11, and then I was an overweight kid, और नया स्कूल था, नई जगह थी, तो I didn't really fit well with that। वहाँ थोड़ी बुलिंग होने लगी और थोड़ा, तो मैं क्रिकेट कभी खेल नहीं पाया ढंग से, कभी भी मुझे टीम में नहीं लिया जाता था, हमेशा वो तो लास्ट वन टू बी सिलेक्टेड, वो जो होता है कि भाई बारी बारी से एक एक बच्चे को सिलेक्ट कर लेते हैं। सो आई वाज द लास्ट वन, एंड लास्ट में भी वो जो दोनों बोलते थे अच्छा तू ले ले, अच्छा तू ले ले, एंड आई वुड से कि मैं दोनों तरफ से फील्डिंग कर लूंगा, आई डोंट माइंड, जस्ट लेट मी बी ऑन द प्लेग्राउंड। और मैं फिर दोनों तरफ से फील्डिंग करता भी था कई बार, एंड दैट made me one of the sharpest fielders in the team in terms of I was not very fit, so I couldn't run very fast, but स्कूल में उतने बड़े ग्राउंड भी नहीं होते थे कि आपको दौड़ के चौका रोकना पड़े। The skill of a fielder in a school level thing was to clean pickup of the ball and clean throw। तो मेरा थ्रो बहुत अच्छा था, इतना बढ़िया, मैं बाउंड्री से थ्रो करता था कि सीधे विकेट कीपर के हाथ में ही जाता था या स्टंप्स पे, जो भी दोनों में से। और इनफैक्ट इन वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट, प्रॉब्ली द बिगेस्ट मैच आई प्लेड इन माय स्कूल, यहाँ पे पूरा टूर्नामेंट था, और टूर्नामेंट में हमारी टीम का एक सीनियर क्लास से, मतलब हम लोग शायद 10th में थे और 12th से हमारा पहला मैच ही था, एंड वन ऑफ दोज मैचेस जहाँ पूरा स्कूल इकट्ठा होके देखता है कि हाँ आज मैच है. नहीं तो हम लोग तो खेलते हैं तो 50 लोग और खेल रहे होते हैं, 4 पिचेस बनी होती हैं, फुटबॉल भी चल रहा है, कोई दौड़ भी रहा है, कोई पीट रहा है किसी को, वो सब चल रहा है. लेकिन ये वाला एक मैच था वेयर एवरीबडी वाज like glued and everybody was watching the match, and luckily I was not fielding on the boundary. Somehow they put me right in क्या होता है अपना, मतलब मिड मिड ऑफ. हाँ, तो मिड ऑफ पे एकदम सामने मुझे लगाया हुआ था, और पहला ही ओवर, चौथी या पांचवी बॉल थी, और मेरे हाथ में, और उनको पता नहीं क्यों लगा कि दौड़ लेंगे तो कहाँ मारेगा ये थ्रो. एंड आई जस्ट एक बाउंस पे मैंने बॉल पकड़ी और सीधे थ्रो मारा अपना नॉन स्ट्राइक करंट पे, एंड डायरेक्ट हिट, और पहले ओवर में मैंने विकेट ले लिया एक, कम से कम एज अ फील्डर. That was one of the most beautiful memories I had.
At what point, at what age would you say that you were absolutely obsessed with the game? Like पागलपन, एक जुनून था क्रिकेट आपके.
हाँ, ये पागलपन I think roughly from I would say 96 World Cup to 2003 World Cup. ये जो 7 साल थे जिसमें कि I was between the ages of 16 and 23. इस दौर में मैं सबसे ज्यादा पागल था क्रिकेट के लिए. हर मैच देखते थे हम, किसी भी, मतलब ऐसा भी नहीं कि सिर्फ इंडिया के मैचेस देख रहे हैं, और ऐसा भी नहीं कि सिर्फ इंडिया के अलावा सिर्फ ऑस्ट्रेलिया वाले मैचेस देख रहे हैं. जो सब देखते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ द क्लीन कवरेज, जो चैनल 9 का जो बहुत सुंदर सा कवरेज सुबह आता है, बहुत सुंदर ग्राउंड्स होते हैं, वहां कोई भी खेल रहा हूँ हम देख लेते हैं, वो तो है ही. बट आई वुड वॉच इवन दो सम रैंडम मैचेस हैपनिंग इन सिंगापुर. वो चलते थे कभी ना, सुपर 6 टूर्नामेंट था कि कौन सा एक टूर्नामेंट होता था, फिर जहाँ पे एक मुझे याद है, आई थिंक इंजमाम उल हक केम टू बोल द फर्स्ट ओवर और सेकंड ओवर और थर्ड ओवर. इट वाज अ 13 बॉल ओवर and it went for some, I think 40 runs or so. And one of those random cricket tournaments, which was the early version of, I think, 2020 at some point.
Hong Kong Sixes maybe.
Hong Kong Sixes, हाँ. So वो पूरा दौर था, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा पागल था क्रिकेट के लिए. And then 2003 World Cup, the way we lost the final, that was really, really heartbreaking. Even more heartbreaking than, I know it's not probably not the right thing to say, but even more heartbreaking than the fixing scandal that came out, which was really depressing as a fan, and really made me so angry about all the love I had for the game and all. And still 2003 World Cup final was so heartbreaking, क्योंकि उस समय हमको लग रहा था कि ये जो पूरी जो उस समय की जो टीम बनी थी with गांगुली and सचिन and द्रविड़ and तो वो जो उन लोगों को they deserve the win. वो भी अपने दिमाग में एक था कि this is the golden period of Indian cricket in terms of from where they have come, and this would have not been a surprise. Like 83 win was a surprise.
Totally.
2003 win was like something कि वो हम deserve करते हैं, and we have covered the distance to reach here. And then I kind of switched off from cricket for like 10 years or so, 2003 onwards. And even so much so that when we won the 2012 World Cup,
11.
I was not at all sorry. Yeah, 2011. Wow. Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard someone say 2012 World Cup and not 2011. So yeah, काफी disenchanted हो गए थे आप cricket से.
अब जाके मुझे फिर से क्रिकेट के सपने. So how I relate to it is basically how much I dream about cricket. So I used to dream a lot about cricket after leaving college, which was in 2003, and starting my journey as a writer, coming to Bombay, and in those 9-year period before we, 10-year period roughly before I connected again to cricket, उस समय मेरे क्रिकेट के सपने थे लेकिन थोड़े कम हो गए थे. और अभी जो है, अब इतने ज्यादा सपने आते हैं. So one crazy thing happened. I actually hurt my hand just last week while sleeping, while dreaming. So I was fielding in my dream and I jumped on a ball to catch it on the boundary and I hit my hand on the side table and मेरी बॉटल भी नीचे गिर गई उस टेबल पे जो रखी थी और मैंने इतनी जोर से हाथ मारा कि हाथ में मुझे सुबह उठ के वो आयोडेक्स लगाना पड़ा। तो सपने में मैं फील्डिंग कर रहा था और मुझे बहुत सारे सपने आते हैं। आई प्लेड अगेंस्ट ऑस्ट्रेलिया एक्चुअली इन अ वर्ल्ड कप मैच for India in a dream and in a fantastic looking stadium with all floodlights and all। और गजब का मैंने मतलब उसमें 34-35 रन बनाए थे एक दिन मैंने और फिर मैं आउट हो गया। बट इट वाज अ वेरी गुड पार्टनरशिप आई हैड विद एट द टॉप ऑफ द दिस थिंग। तो शुरू में मैंने काफी स्टेबिलिटी दे दी टीम को। इस तरह के सपने आते हैं बहुत विविड, बहुत रियल, मतलब असली वो मैदान होता है, असली फ्लडलाइट्स, असली भीड़ होती है वहां पे और मैं काफी जेन्युइन क्रिकेट खेल रहा होता हूँ। ये सारे सपने मुझे आते हैं जबकि मैंने जिंदगी में बहुत कम क्रिकेट खेला है। सो आई डोंट नो व्हाट सो
मैंने घर में अपने ही कमरे में बंद होकर पूरा वर्ल्ड कप खेला है जहां पर मेरे सोफा मेरा जो सोफा है वो रिकी पॉन्टिंग होता था, ठीक है। और या सो एवरी टाइम द बॉल वुड गो टू द सोफा, आई वुड थिंक दैट इट रिकी पॉन्टिंग हैज कॉट इट एंड देन आई वुड गो पास्ट स्लेजिंग all of that। but yeah, सपने मैंने आज तक शायद क्रिकेट के इतने तो विविड नहीं देखे।
सब तरह के मेरे बहुत सपनों में बहुत तरह के रोल मैंने निभाए हैं एज एन इंडियन ओपनर, एज अ जस्ट अ टीम मेंबर, एज अ मैनेजमेंट पोजीशन जहाँ पे मैं बैठा हूँ बस स्टैंड्स में और फिर कोई आके मेरे से पूछ रहा है कि आप लंच क्या लेंगे, हमको लंच ऑर्डर करना है एंड आई एम लाइक वहां पे जो प्लेयर खा रहे होंगे मैं खा लूंगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं। सो दीज स्ट्रेंज काइंड ऑफ ड्रीम्स, आई कीप finding strange connections to cricket and of course I go back to my school cricket a lot जहां से ये सब शुरू हुआ था। सो बहुत सारे सपने मेरे वहां के ही आते हैं जहां पे मैं अपने स्कूल में क्रिकेट खेल रहा हूँ और बैटिंग कर रहा हूँ, फील्डिंग कर रहा हूँ। जो बैटिंग मुझे बहुत कम मिली थी, फील्डिंग बहुत ज्यादा मिली थी, अंपायरिंग में बहुत अच्छी करता था एंड एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम एक्चुअली माय बैकअप प्लान फॉर लाइफ वाज आई विल बिकम अ क्रिकेट अंपायर।
What age was this?
This was when I was preparing for my IIT and all, and I knew कि जब जेई में अगर नहीं होता है, अगर इंजीनियरिंग में सिलेक्शन नहीं होता है, then I'll simply become a cricket umpire. So there was one cricket book with cricket rules and all, जिसमें कि रूल्स में वो फिर जो आज हम समझते हैं कि बॉल ट्रैकिंग से हम लोग देख सकते हैं, लेकिन उस समय जब बॉल ट्रैकिंग टीवी पे भी नहीं दिखाया जाता था तो देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन अमंग किड्स, फेलो किड्स की भाई एलबीडब्ल्यू होता क्या है। सिर्फ पैर आ गया सामने तो एलबीडब्ल्यू कई बार हो जाता है, कई बार नहीं होता है ना, वो नो शॉट ऑफर्ड का क्या फंडा है। सो दीज सो मेनी थिंग्स आई फाउंड इन अ रूल बुक एंड आई जस्ट उसको रट लिया मैंने और फिर मैं उसको इस्तेमाल करता था और मैंने कई बार स्कूल में समझाया भी कि रूल बुक के हिसाब से ऐसा होता है। फिर उन्होंने माना नहीं, वो दूसरी बात है, बिकॉज आई वाज स्टिल बीइंग बुलीड एज एन अंपायर।
ऐसे गली में आप अगर ज्यादा नॉलेजेबल बने तो बहुत खुद ही दोबारा गाली सुनने को मिलती।
हाँ, तो खैर मेरा सपना था कि मैं, क्योंकि मैं खेल तो पाऊंगा नहीं, आई न्यू कि वो बड़ा मुश्किल है, बट आई थॉट कि चलो कुछ नहीं, रणजी ट्रॉफी में क्रिकेट अंपायर बन जाएंगे, भले ही इंटरनेशनल लेवल नहीं बन पाए। सो आई वुड बी ऑन द क्रिकेट फील्ड एंड गेट टू एटलीस्ट होल्ड द बॉल। जो मैंने एक जगह और भी बोला है कि अंपायर होने का सबसे ज्यादा मजा इस बात का है कि हर ओवर के बाद आपको बॉल मिलती है हाथ में, सो दे थ्रो द बॉल बैक टू द अंपायर व्हाइल दे आर डिसाइडिंग कि भाई कौन। सो एटलीस्ट फॉर दैट स्मॉल टाइम बिटवीन ओवर्स you are holding the ball while there are 11 other fielders on the field. Most of them don't even get to hold the ball unless they are fielding it. बाकी सबको तो साइड में रखा जाता है, 2 बॉलर होते हैं, 2 बैट्समैन होते हैं, उन्हीं के हाथ में मतलब ज्यादातर चीजें रहती हैं। So yeah,
and that's a very beautiful feeling, just to hold the ball and matlab I have never been a very good cricketer, but I always have a leather ball मेरे पास, मेरे ऑफिस डेस्क पे भी होता था, मेरे घर पे भी एक रहता है, which I just जब मतलब just to unwind I would just hold it and उसी के साथ सारे एक्शंस कर लूंगा 10-15 मिनट and I'd feel like wow मैंने क्या ही कर दिया है। So it's a very beautiful feeling to hold a ball.
Yeah, correct. बहुत you just feel somehow you feel connected to not just that game, not just that team or something. You feel connected to a long history also somewhere. You feel like okay, मतलब कितना पुराना कहाँ से चला आ रहा है ये गेम, कैसे डेवलप हुआ है, और फिर आप कहीं एक रैंडम से किसी कोने में खेल रहे हैं.
There is something special, something important, is the Indian Express article that you wrote last year about Vinod Kambli and how you experienced, how you saw him experiencing casteist, racist slurs, when you were 13-year-old and watching a match. Tell us something about that, and in larger context of that, how much has cricket, taught you in about the way you wrote that piece. It just told that even as a youngster, it was just not a source of entertainment for you. आप काफी चीजें उस खेल से सीख रहे थे. So just throw a bit of light on that.
So yeah, this was the England team was visiting India at that time, and they had President's 11. They had a match against President's 11 in Lucknow in KD Singh Babu Stadium, and that was the first time I went to watch a match, like a proper match in a stadium between two international teams. And Indian team was President's 11, but it had Navjot Singh Sidhu, it had Kambli. Roughly around that time only, after 92 World Cup, जो कि मैंने देखा था पूरा 92 World Cup, was actually one of the first full cricket tournament I got involved in as a viewer. तो तब तक cricket को लेके बहुत ज्यादा इमोशंस थे, बहुत ज्यादा फीलिंग्स थी, and we all felt that this is, even though as a kid, but that's what sport is, that's what sport does. It gives you a feeling of identity as a nation, like okay, ये मेरे देश के लोग हैं, ये मेरे देश के प्लेयर्स हैं. और जब वहाँ पे वर्ल्ड कप में खास करके मैच के पहले या कहीं भी आप देखते हैं कि हाँ नेशनल एंथम जब बजता है, तो यू आल्सो फील वेरी आई वुड से चार्ज्ड अप एंड फील वेरी इमोशनल अबाउट इट. तो वो वाला फेज था मेरा. और उस समय जब मैंने देखा कि विनोद काम्बली हु हैड कम एंड ही वाज सिलेक्टेड फॉर इंडियन टीम एट दैट टाइम, एंड ही वाज अ वेरी फेमस लाइक स्टार इन हिज ओन सेंस कि हाँ भाई सचिन है और सचिन के साथ काम्बली है और दोनों आचरेकर सर के स्टूडेंट हैं और दोनों साथ में बहुत खेले. सो देयर वर लॉट्स ऑफ बज़ अबाउट हिम and he was fielding close to the boundary and people started abusing him, just casteist slurs, and they were racist slurs for an English bowler also. I think Chris, मैं नाम भूल गया उसका.
Chris Lewis.
Yeah, Chris Lewis. Yeah, because there was another Chris Lewis who was an athlete at the same time, I think, roughly. दोनों के नाम सेम थे. तो हाँ, तो उसको भी बहुत गालियां दे रहे थे लोग, उसको रेसिस्ट गालियां मिल रही थी और विनोद काम्बली को कास्टिस्ट गालियां मिल रही थी. एंड दैट shook me a lot. As Indians, we are not really united by our cricket team. We feel we want to be that that nation where we think cricket unites us or sport unites us. बट वो नहीं था. वहां पे अपनी ही टीम के किसी बंदे को हम गाली दे रहे हैं और जस्ट बिकॉज वी बिलीव कि वो कास्ट अलग है उसकी और वो कास्ट इस गाली को मतलब डिजर्व करती है, ऐसा उन लोगों के दिमाग में था. तो वहां से एक नया दरवाजा खुला, आई वुड से, अपने देश को समझने का, क्रिकेट को समझने का. दैट क्रिकेट we have that utopian idea that sport unites, but it is not an equal sport. It is not an equal playing field for everyone. Okay, अगर फील्ड पे कोई खड़ा है आपके देश का क्रिकेटर जो फील्डिंग कर रहा है, and if you cheer for him or you abuse them, इसमें आपको सोचना होगा कि उस खिलाड़ी के भी मेंटल मेकअप पर कितना असर पड़ेगा. Getting abused in a foreign country getting racial abuse in Australia, even that is so difficult to deal with. Recently, we had that episode, I think,
With Mohammed Siraj.
right in this, yeah, with Mohammed Siraj, and he had to complain, and which is a regular thing on many of our overseas tours. But to have that in our own country is really, I think, is really the worst you can do to your team, to your and to your own idea of unity as a nation. Another thing I noticed recently was while watching, I think, the Women's World Cup 2 years ago. There is so much diversity in women's team across the world. There were so many. I found out there were so many same-sex couples playing for teams
Yeah.
in women's these various teams, and I think there was one married couple also, and otherwise also there were many couples, and there were many um, uh, players who were open about their sexual uh, orientation and identity. There's another cricketer, Ram Chanduha, had written about him in his book, Baloo Palwankar, who played around, I think, between 1895 to 1920, roughly those years, and he was a spinner, and he was the best player India had in those times. And Baloo Palwankar came from a Dalit background. So he was the first Dalit cricketer India had, and he was a superstar. He was a rock star. And the thing is, as I think Baloo Palwankar's younger brother wrote a book, and in that book he writes, even in the matches where Baloo would win a Man of the Match award, he would not be allowed inside the tent for eating food, or or sitting with the rest of the teammates. So I was telling this story to put the point across that cricket has always been a unifier, as well as still a divider, or the divides that exist in our society exist within cricket also. And that idealistic view we have of the game or of any sport is slightly naive. And it has been, I mean, it started with Baloo, and then Baloo was facing that in early 1900s, and then late 1900s, I saw the same or similar kind of treatment given to Vinod Kambli in a cricket match. So 100 years, and we became an independent nation, and still things were not really changing a lot. And now I think the same is happening with the sexual orientation thing. And it really gives me great hope to see that, that the women's teams from around the world, they are looking way more progressive than the men's team, and though they are not as popular, but I think they will pave the way for something amazing in the game in this decade.
That's how generally changes also come, right? That is the direction in which changes come. हर इंसान का एक बहुत ही यूनिक रोमांस होता है with respect to cricket, and yours is very unique. Now we'll come to the part for which we have got you here, which is to recount your favorite cricketing memories. So let's see what have you got in there. आप किस memory की बात करेंगे सबसे पहले?
तो सबसे पहले वहीं से शुरू करता हूँ जहां से मैंने क्रिकेट देखना या पूरी तरह से इन्वॉल्व होना शुरू किया था. दैट वाज 1992 वर्ल्ड कप, एंड एट दैट टाइम आई हैड नो आइडिया हाउ गुड और बैड आवर टीम इज. I just knew, okay, this is our team and we have to support it. And then that big match came, which is India versus Australia. And I think that was the match when India if India lost that match, we would be out of the tournament. So that was the make or break match. And it was still in the league stages, and still it was a knockout match for us. And that match in many ways set the mood for the India-Australia matches for the next 2 decades or so. I think it is still the hardest fought matches, India and Australia, in the final over, which was that epic final over where Kiran More hit 2 boundaries and took us within like almost there, like 4 runs in 4 balls or 5 balls. No, 4 runs in 3 balls or something like that. I mean, I think we needed 13 of the last over. He hit 2 boundaries of the first 2 balls. And so we came to 5 runs in 4 balls, and then he got out. And then then we had Venkatapathy Raju and Javagal Shrinath on crease. And last ball, we required 4 runs, and somehow Javagal Shrinath connected, and it felt like, okay, I mean, we are through. And we would have been through if it was some other, if it was a Pune stadium or something.
I think that's the day when Indians realized कि कितने बड़े होते हैं Australia के grounds.
Yeah, it was a very well connected shot, and still it just fell probably 10 feet inside the boundary. And in fact, I think Steve Waugh dropped the catch. It went to his hands, and he was running towards the ball, and he dropped the catch. And then he threw the ball at the batsman end, and Venkatapathy Raju got out running the 3rd run. If he had come at that point, I was like, dod, ye teesra run, we would have had a tie, which is what every India-Australia match is. I think very few India-Australia matches actually get decided before the last over. We still have that competitive edge with Australia. और वो last ball पे जो last run जो था वेंकटपति राजू उस दिन ले लेता तो शायद मैं आज उसमें डालता भी नहीं अपनी मेमोरीज में, शायद मैं भूल गया होता उस मैच को. बट जस्ट द हार्ट ब्रेक. सो दैट वाज द फर्स्ट time, as they say, I mean, you really find out when you are in love when you have a heartbreak, right? तो वो प्यार की पहली निशानी वही थी मेरे लिए कि ये इतना बुरा क्यों लग रहा है. मैं अभी 12 साल का हूँ, मैंने अभी पहली बार जिंदगी में क्रिकेट देखना शुरू किया है, और मेरी टीम 1 रन से हार गई है, सिर्फ 1 रन से, और बहुत बुरा लग रहा है. तो हम वेंकटपति राजू को कभी सोच रहे थे कि यार और तेज दौड़ता.
Have you seen that in a dream ever? Have you been the
No.
Venkatapathy Raju who has run the 3 and won India the World Cup?
Oh God, no. Now I've talked about it, I'm sure this will come to me in a dream. But I loved Raju, I loved Shrinath at that time. I felt like, okay, they were so, I mean, there were so many people angry with Raju. Initially, I was also angry at that time. कि यार क्यों नहीं दौड़ा, ये क्या है? But later I realized, I mean, he was in number 9, 10 actually, and he still was there. And yeah, I mean, somebody else had to finish the job. Okay.
I think you just got emotional talking about it. I can sense the heartbreak in your words. It's actually one of the best World Cups.
Yeah.
Just to think of it, pretty much the class of 90s, Alan Donald, John T. Rhodes, Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar, Inzamamul Haq, Wasim Akram, all of these people were playing that World Cup, and for most of them it was sort of a launch pad. And that happening in Australia in colored clothing.
Yeah, it was also marred by rain. That was the only, I think, problem at that time. Such a fantastic story how Pakistan actually went on to win. I mean, true underdogs, even more underdogs than I think India was in 1983.
So we should move to the next memory, which is what? Tell us.
Which is the revenge for this this match in a way, where Shrinath and Kumble took us over the line in 1996 Titan Cup match with Australia. So this was again India-Australia 4 years later. And again, India are 8 down for like 152 or something. And we have like another 60 runs to, I think, 215 or whatever. 215 was the, I think, total to get. And on 152, I think we lost our 8th wicket. It was in Bangalore, in the hometown of Anil Kumble, and Shrinath. Shrinath also comes from Bangalore. I forgot. Both of them, right?
Both are Karnataka.
Yeah. So then on their home ground, and there was no chance. I mean, these were the days we are talking about 1996 when Sachin Tendulkar gets out. You just, either you close your TV if you are one of those like realistic persons, and if you're too optimistic, you keep watching it, but with constantly telling yourself that you're not watching to see the victory, you're watching just with a random faint hope and all. So these times when 152 for 8 or something, and like there was no, and playing against Australia, who were like really, really deadly at that time. They had the best team. And I think, and then just out of nowhere, Shrinath hits a sticks to Steve Waugh, who was the one who actually effected that run out in 1992. And Steve Waugh comes running in, and he was quite a decent bowler at that time. He was actually like a full all-rounder. He was not even a part-timer or something like that. He was proper all-rounder, and he was bowling really well. I think on Indian pitches also he worked really well because of his slight off-cutter and all that. Yeah. So and he comes in, and Srinath just like takes it straight over his head, and it goes for 6. And everybody suddenly had that glimmer of hope. Like, really, are we going to do that? And then run by run, with some luck, with some, this thing, with some calculation, some grit, they managed to do that. And that is probably, I think, everybody who has seen that match will remember, the joy of the crowd. Anil Kumble's mother was in the stands, and there were a couple of security people also who just, I think, came because Anil Kumble's mother, and they were there to protect them. I think the ladies, Anil Kumble's mother, and there was another lady. But they forgot they were there for security. They were dancing. They were they were just. So it was one of the most joyful cricket memories I have. I think the most joyful in terms of really the most unexpected victories. It can happen only against Australia. I know the same team you put up against New Zealand or Pakistan or anyone. I don't know. I mean, it's only hypothetical, but I know Australia gets the best out of us. And that's what happened in that match in 1996 when Kumble and Shrinath said, okay, nothing doing, we are just going for it. And they went for it. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah, and there is like a special joy होता है जब tailenders आपको मैच जिताते हैं, because that's the least that you expect, and वो बहुत rare होता है.
Yeah.
और वो हो भी दशहरा के दिन रहा था.
There was some festival. Yeah, okay, yeah. The final was close to Diwali or something. Yeah, काफी amazing match था वो.
What would you like to talk about next now?
1993 Hero Cup semi-final against South Africa. The final over where Azharuddin gave the ball to Sachin Tendulkar to bowl the final over. They needed 6 runs to win. I think Macmillan was on the crease and he was playing really well. He just needed to connect one and over the rope, and Sachin Tendulkar, not even a pace bowler, no, not spinner. I mean, imagine like India had like I think 3 spinners in the team at that time. We were playing in Calcutta. Now a lot of people may think, okay, Sachin Tendulkar, always the hero. But 1993, Sachin Tendulkar was not the Sachin Tendulkar we know. He was not a legend. He was a young star and all, who is not even at his best as a batsman, was given a bowling opportunity in a semi-final match where the last over they needed to just make 6 runs, which is now unimaginable that some team could not make even 6 runs in the last over.
Here is Tendulkar to Macmillan.
Sachin got the ball and he managed to get, I think, 1 run out and 1 wicket.
He's run out and Kohler
clean bowled and 1 run out, or 1 catch and 1 run out. There was 1 run out, which was their whatever unforced error kind of a thing, and then 1 forced error. and we managed to win the match, and that was the arrival of Sachin in my mind in 1991, where his first picture, which came in India Today. That was the first time I noticed that there is somebody called Sachin Tendulkar, and India Today had these last two pages, which were uh, mostly entertainment and gossip kind of these two pages. I remember that very clearly because I have. I wish I could show it to you. I have that old cricket diary I used to make in those days. Me and my brother, we would cut photos and news stories about cricket and then paste them in a diary. I have it. I have the diary, but it's at my parents' place. But उसमें हमने वो photo लगा के रखी, and that was the first cricket photo of Sachin Tendulkar in probably in Cricket Samrat and other magazines, definitely आई होगी, but in a non-cricket magazine, and it said Sachin Tendulkar जनता के लिए ज्यादा खेलते नजर आए, और लोगों ने जब क्राउड ने वहां से चौके और छक्के की फरमाइश की तो सचिन ने उसकी बौछार लगा दी. I mean, Sachin was a great promise. Sachin was a great possibility at that time, but not beyond that. And to think that a captain would trust him with the final over and he would deliver gave us the sense that, okay, he's here for cricket. Okay, he's a cricketer. He's somebody who is not just a batsman. He's somebody who is a match winner. So that was the thing. That was the shift which happened in our heads. That okay, he's not just a quick hitter kind of a thing, because that was also big whatever achievement in those days.
Yeah, attacking batsman.
To find somebody who can. हाँ, अटैकिंग बैट्समैन होते नहीं थे हमारे पास इंडिया में. और पूरा वो कल्चर भी बहुत था नहीं क्रिकेट में, बट इंडिया में नहीं था, तो वी फेल्ट लाइक वी वर ऑलवेज फीलिंग स्लाइटली फ्रस्ट्रेटेड वाचिंग आवर बैट्समैन की भाई क्यों नहीं मार रहे और क्या. और हम लोग यहाँ से बताते रहते थे 12 साल के बच्चे संजय मांजरेकर को या किसी को कि अच्छा ऐसे मारो, अच्छा ये करो. अभी टू सी समबडी हु वाज एक्चुअली
being a fearless brand of cricket,
doing what we wanted. Yeah, doing what we had been telling the TV to do. So from there to be somebody who was so clued into the game that he could win a game for us in that crucial time. That was the first, I think, cricket tournament victory for me in my lifetime. 83 was before me, as in I was 3 years old at that time. Till 2003, I was full like Sachin. But I always had that thinking, Indian team has more than Sachin. I mean, I was not one of those guys who would switch off the TV. हम तो सचिन के लिए देख रहे हैं. Though of course we would watch for Sachin, but also because there were lots of there were as many highs as lows with Sachin, because we were putting too much on him. So वो आउट हो जाता था तो फिर लगता था कि कैसे जीतेंगे, तो वो दुख भी बहुत होता था. और बहुत बार हुआ भी कि सचिन क्रूशल मैचेस में somehow we felt कि he could not take us through. So all that one really which is my next memory actually. Equally heartbreaking. So I'm swinging between heartwarming and heartbreaking, which is the 1999 Chennai Test versus Pakistan. Where Sachin played brilliantly to take us so close to the total, and I think we needed 271 to win in the final innings of the first test match. There were 2 test matches. The second one is very famous because it made Anil Kumble made history with that, and Jim Laker's record was overhauled in a way, and he took 10 in Firoz Shah Kotla. But this was the first match which we lost after coming so close. Like 271 we needed, and we were 251 for 5 at one point. With Sachin playing, and Sachin got out somehow, I think by Saklin Mushtaq. He just scooped one, and some Akram only, I think, caught one mid-off or something. and then Sachin's dismissal, and we could not make another 20 runs to win a test match against Pakistan in Chennai, in our home ground, with like, so it was really heartbreaking. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, such a hard fought match. Like it would have been so amazing to have won that one. Like to think of it, probably would have been as close to an Eden's win or something, to Eden's 2001.
Yeah, I mean, if India had been all out for, for 80 in that match, in the last innings, would not have been as heartbreaking. We would be like, हाँ, last innings pitch टूट रही है, अभी अपनी pitch है, हम लोगों ने ऐसे spinning pitch बनाई, 80 पे all out हो गए, कोई बात नहीं. Reaching 250 and 251 and then just 20 runs to get, and Sachin is still there, but I think he had lots of back issues that day. And his back was hurting, and he tried to probably just finish it quickly and hit, probably trying to score a boundary or something. He hit it up in the air, but he was out. But he took the team to 251, and there were like 5 more batsmen to come, and still. So that was really, really, really shocking and really heartbreaking. And that match. I wanted India to win for Sachin. I was like, okay, this is Sachin's victory.
He has made that possible.
Yeah, this is like something we can always tell people that, Sachin made that, achieved that in a test match, in the final innings, which is always the most difficult thing to do, and just could not. So yeah, that is one heartbreaking thing. And somehow, the next match, and then when Kumble took 10 in the next match, again, I was not, I did not feel anything.
He didn't do enough.
Yeah, I did not feel anything. Yeah, I was like, ठीक है, 10 wicket ले लिए या जो भी ले लिए, records are always pointless. The stories and that effort in the previous match, if Kumble had just made 10 runs in the previous match and had taken like 5 less wickets, I would have been way, way happier. But yeah, I think he would also feel so.
Throughout the 90s, there was this perception that, as you said, that he doesn't rise up to the occasion in the big matches. So that's why there is so much of aura around that innings, that he did rise up on one occasion, and against Pakistan, battling back pain in the Chennai heat, facing the likes of Wasim Wakar, right? And it could have been an answer to all those detractors who were saying कि no, he doesn't rise up on the occasions when needed. पर उस दिन उसका team उसे let down किया, which is like, pretty much the template for 90s. So not very unfamiliar, but thankfully, and that's why. And that is exactly why the transformation that happened in the 2000s, that we had more cricketers who could be relied upon to take us over the line. That's why it was so heartwarming, so gladdening.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings me to the last memory, which is a happy one. Equally well fought, and again, we started with India-Australia, and we are ending with India-Australia, which is 2001 Eden Gardens, India-Australia, Laxman and Rahul Dravid just making the impossible possible somehow. I don't know. And again, I'm so happy. I'm so glad that I watched that test match through and through. I was not like...
मतलब you didn't छोड़ नहीं दिया टीम का साथ when they are in a...
हाँ, like follow on हुआ, पर कोई नहीं, ठीक है, टेस्ट मैच है, देखते हैं क्या होता है. Because test matches also, they were fun to watch because of the commentary. So I would watch test match for the commentary, because they would always talk about stories. And at that time, I think Geoff Boycott and Tony Greig and
Arun Lal, David Hooks
was there, Harsha Bhogle was there. So they were always... Test match gave them time to tell longer stories.
Very true.
Test match gave them time to talk about stuff other than what's going on the field. One day में they were always like, okay, हाँ, run बनाया, अच्छा, double ले सकते थे, अच्छा, ये मतलब ज्यादातर वो उसी पे focus रहता है. Test match में they get these periods of just talking about, okay, Sunny, tell us about, whatever your West Indies tour in the 75 or something, and we would start talking about it. And so that was the fun part of the test cricket for me. And so I would watch test cricket all the time. अभी भी मैं सबसे ज़्यादा उसी के लिए देखता हूँ कि कहानियाँ सुनने को मिलती हैं. Or I keep switching between now because we have the option of Hindi and English commentary. So sometimes if there's some Hindi interesting commentary going on in Hindi, so I switch to that, sometimes in English. तो उस वजह से मैच देख रहा था क्योंकि मुझे किसी को भी आई थिंक उम्मीद नहीं थी कि यहाँ से हम लोग जीत सकते हैं वो तो किसी ने नहीं सोचा था. जो होपफुल बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं वो सोचते हैं कि हाँ ड्रॉ हो जाएगा, टेस्ट मैच है, हो सकता है ड्रॉ हो जाए. And then they started playing and they played the whole day. Dravid and Laxman, I think the one full day, which was I think day three, they just
day four.
stood there. Day 4 they played through the day.
Yeah. Day 5 is when the match ended. So day 4 they played entire. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they played the whole day and it was like something magical happening, and suddenly the buzz was everywhere. Now we knew, like, even though it was still very difficult to imagine what will happen in day 5 because
at most it could have been a draw going from there, like, because to get Australia out in just a couple of sessions and that Australian batting lineup.
And then Harbhajan Singh came to the party or whatever, came to the match, and then he finished the job. But it was also confirmation for me that my love for Dravid is really not my simply imagination. Okay, so that's another thing. A long running thread in my cricket journey has been that now it's very kind of easy to see Dravid as a hero after he retired and after people started assessing his career. But while he was playing, he was always like the third or fourth player in the team, fourth batsman in the team. Like there was Sachin, perennial number 1, then there was Ganguly, then there would be always about, there would be VVS Laxman in test cricket, who would be more respected in one day. Okay, he would come. There was Sehwag. So always like Dravid would feel, I think he was always kind of, he did not get the limelight he deserved, and I don't think he even craved for it or something. But still, he did not get his due in those times. And even in this match, I mean, people still like, because Laxman got 281 and Dravid.
And that is the story of Dravid. No, 183 Saurabh scored, he scored 145. Tendulkar scored 186, he scored 153. And Laxman scored 281, he scored 180.
Yeah, and I was checking his record yesterday just for talking to you. I thought, because you know so many things, I remember very little numbers. So I was checking his record, and Dravid has scored the maximum. I think his best average is against Pakistan.
Yeah.
In away matches also. Like so I checked, and there was that tour of Pakistan we did in 2004. Yeah, and in one days. So I saw 2 matches. Dravid actually won for India. He scored 76 not out in one match, and he took us through. Like we were chasing, and then in another match he scored, I think 84 99. Or something.
He got out
99.
The first match itself, he got out for 99.
Yeah, 99, and India won. So he was the top scorer in both the matches for India. And in both the matches, they gave man of the match to Inzamam ul Haq from the losing side. Both the matches.
He scored century. I remember he scored.
He scored and 122. He scored similar scores in 2 matches, and his team lost, and still he got the man of the match in these 2 matches. I was like, okay, even when Indians are not top scoring against Dravid in the same match, some other player is scoring, and that guy is getting the man of the match trophy. So for me, this match also, at least, okay, there was Laxman and both of them. So now we remember both of them as this great, warrior duo partnership. They managed to do something which I don't think is going to be replicated anytime in Test cricket. From that, I mean, those kind of conditions. Now India is a different team. People expect us to do that. Now, I mean, we are not the underdogs, even in our heads or anybody's head. So that is one, I think, crucial change. But Dravid has been my forever love. I have a huge, I mean, crush on him, on his temperament, on his general, I mean, the sense of honesty and
The perfect
balance he brings. Yeah, he has always been, and I want to meet him someday, but I also don't want to meet him. I just want to be like this,
Yeah.
like
This is
from a
very
distance.
relatable that you do not want to meet your heroes lest it puts a
Yeah.
blemish on how see how you perceive them. If there is an India Pakistan final to be played at Lords, or in your case I would say it's an India Australia final to be played at Lords, who is that one absolutely crazy cricket fan that you would pick?
To watch the match with.
Yep.
Okay, I thought to because I can even play the match in my this thing to open the innings with like okay, to watch the match with I don't know. I think in my comedy fraternity, Sanjay Rajora actually, yeah, he's I performed Aisi Taisi Democracy with him. He's a big cricket fan. He and I share kind of almost similar cricket whatever eras in a way as viewers, and he also is a bigger Rahul Dravid fan than any other than Sachin Tendulkar fan, and that is I think the Kishore Rafi fight of cricket world, Sachin versus Dravid or Sachin versus Ganguly for many people. But yeah, so Sanjay Rajora is one, and I would, if that happens someday, I would like to be sitting next to you also because you have so many insights and so many stories. So it will be fun to watch. Your effort or attempt on Twitter with random cricket photos um, is actually shaping the way cricket should be talked about or is going to be talked about. Sport is only stories. We think of it as numbers, we think of it as stats, we think of it as these random, okay, World Cup 4 jeet liye hain, 5 jeet, doesn't matter in the long run. In the long run, what sustains is the narrative of the sport, the story behind the characters, and how they connected with or resonated with somebody somewhere. And I think so that is what I feel is kind of sometimes missing in the entire discourse around sport. It's way beyond numbers, and it is simply a human endeavor in a way, and that's what I think you are also trying to do. So fantastic job there.
Thank you so much, Varun, for joining us. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Had an absolutely wonderful time talking to you, and totally got to understand what cricket romantic you are.
Thank you for talking, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about my strange cricket memories.